For those of you that like racing, I'm sure you've heard of the name Gordon Murray. Gordon Murray is a South African-born pure genius engineer. He's a mad scientist engineer that brought us crazy designs like the rocket, the F1 McLaren, and billion designs in Formula One, including a couple of world championships. But his designs are crazy, but very effective. He says he's always looking for an unfair advantage. Yes, his most notable design in the 90s, he made the McLaren F1. It was a light and compact McLaren car powered by a 6.1 liter BMW V12 and developed 618 brake horsepower. And what was also notable about this car is not only was it made of carbon fiber, it had the driver's seat central. So the driver's seat was in the middle and with a passenger seat on either side, the left and the right, making it a three-seater. Driver focus, everything. A cockpit of a jet, normal aspirated too. None of that turbo stuff. None of that. I know a lot of them kind of got crashed because people couldn't believe how fast, people couldn't actually control the speed of these things. And at speed, they also got a little twitchy, from what I understand, because they didn't have big spoilers and all that stuff that they're putting nowadays. At the time, the McLaren F1 was the fastest and most responsive street-legal supercar ever built. I know Mr. Bean crashed one twice, if I recall, but a lot of them were crashed. But today, in order for you to get special entry into the supercar club, you need at least about 700 horsepower or more, dual-clutch transmissions, 0 to 60 under 3 seconds, and top speed of over 200 miles an hour. Yeah, that's kind of like base level of getting into this supercar club, and that is what he built this car for. When you look at T50, initially it kind of just looks like any other supercar. Carbon fiber monocoque, carbon fiber body panel, a mid-mounted engine, driving the rear wheels, the usual ceramic brakes, 90/20s at the back, blah blah, and all that stuff. However, things turn a little weird when you actually look at this car. The T50 has an array of wings, splitters, spoilers, and its pony trick is, however, a unique fan-driven ground effects system that creates a crazy amount of downforce. This concept derived from Braham Alpha BT46B F1 racer that Murray designed 78 and Niki Lauda raced. Basically, this concept was using a large fan to pull air over its cooling radiators while conveniently creating a pool of low-pressure air underneath the car and effectively sucking it down to the track. This concept was actually started by a racer called Jim Hall from Texas, and he came up with this idea for the Chaparral 2J Can-Am racer in 1970 using two fans to actually suck the air under the car. This car was very fast, indecently fast through corners, especially through corners. That's where most of the speed comes in. As Gordon Murray was even saying that their Formula One car could corner 30 miles an hour faster than all the other cars. So put that over 50 laps. You're leaving them out in the dust. They're never gonna catch up to you. You're gone. So on the T50, a 15-inch fixed pitch fan mounted high at the rear of the car. So this helps suck, cut the long story short, this helps suck air under, and with the heat from the radiator, plants the car to the ground. At really high speed, Murray says the fans stop sucking from the diffuser altogether and draw air from the car's rear flange, thus reducing drag further, and then throw it out of the back to create what Murray calls a virtual long tail. This makes the car more aerodynamically stable. So price for the T50 is approximately $1.5 million. And the Mac Daddy, you will expect the Niki Lauda, you will expect to pay approximately $3 million, and there will be only 100 of these cars. The T50S Niki Lauda makes 725 horsepower from its 3.9 liter engine. It revs 12,100 RPM, 1,878 pounds, and can generate over 3,300 pounds of downforce. The 65-degree V Cosworth engine, it's actually a V12. It is very light. 3.9 liters, approximately 4 liters, to keep the size and the weight down, and this makes 654 horsepower. Red lines 12,100 RPM. Peak torque 344 pound-feet of torque arrives at 9,000 RPM, and about 245 foot-pounds of torque is available from just 2,500 to ensure that there is tractability in everyday driving conditions. So this Cosworth 3.9 liter V12 gets a new ram air induction system, new heads, new camshaft, 12 individual throttle body, titanium intake valve, and a bump in compression ratio to 15 to 1. The result is 725 horsepower at 11,000 RPM, all of which goes to the rear wheels via an X-Track 6-speed pedal shift sequential gearbox. This is of course a racing gearbox. This is a race car's gearbox. So it's 178 horsepower per liter and beats that of the legendary T50S V8 engine that dominated Formula 1 in the 60s, which actually inspired the car. Gordon Murray actually says this is going to sound like 24,000 RPM coming down the pits. Each car has its own chassis number and its own name. Niki Lauda, only 25 are going to be made. Initial price was approximately 3 million, but I'm sure that has changed because of the demand and the bespokeness of the cars. I'm not sure. Well, it's one of those times when you wish you had a bag of money, because we all know Gordon Murray's cars. F1 sold for 800,000 and now selling approximately $20 million. And then you look at the Rocket, look at the Caparo. Oh my goodness. Beautiful cars, bespoke cars, rare cars, and you know they're all investments. You can either race it or keep it as an investment well spent. However, these are challenging times. We have to see it being made first. But from what I know, all the 100 cars are all spoken for. So we really appreciate something different. We really appreciate looking at cars with a fresh eye. Yeah, it does take a lot of its cues from the McLaren F1. It's been, what, 30 years? Yeah, somebody needed to make something like that. And this car, like the man himself, is purpose driven. It is loud, brash, no nonsense. This car's only job is to demolish track records. We've seen Gordon Murray's work with these previous cars. We've seen they're beyond hypercar. I know they're calling even the Niki Lauda a supercar. This is even beyond a hypercar. It's a race car. Look at the steering wheel. Look at how the thing is made, purpose driven. Not much of a looker. All business. And what's actually interesting about this car is power to weight. I know it's only got like 600 horsepower. However, the way it moves that 600 horsepower, the way it will stick that 600 horsepower to the track, I don't think a lot of cars will be able to do that. Also, when you look at even the cars we have today, or hypercars or whatever, hybrids and so forth, they carry around a lot of weight. And although this car will have hybrid capability, borrowing occasional 50 or so horsepower from the fan, it's going to be really purpose driven. And also, what differentiates it from all other modern hypercars is the way it's going to be able to stick to the road. We haven't seen this being tried before, only in the race cars. And in the race cars, they were actually banned because they were too fast in comparison to other race cars that just used aerodynamic cheats, so to speak, to achieve track time. The fan cars had such a great advantage that they had to ban them. They had no choice to ban them. So I can imagine with the technology that's come so far over the last 20-30 years, how effective with electronics, stability controls, and all the other magic that keeps the car on track. And you add this fan technology for extra advantage. I know GMA actually says it's way faster than the current McLarens, and those are rocket ships. So I don't know what we're looking at right here. I know a lot of people, only because 10 are going to be made, a lot of people are never going to experience it. But those that will, with this guy's engineering, this car promises to be a future classic. Well, it's not even a future classic, it's an instant classic. An instant hypercar, an instant collectible, only for collectors, basically. It doesn't mean because you got a bunch of money you'll actually be able to buy one. You have to be in the exclusive club to be able to purchase one of these. So we'll see. So thank you very much for watching, and don't forget, subscribe so we can make these videos for you. And yeah, and thank you so much. Bye bye.